The exchange at the cross is a story of redemption. It's a story of how one who was perfect was traded out for the sins of all of humanity. It's inexplicable. It's miraculous. It is the highest form of love and the deepest demonstration of grace that humanity has ever experienced. And receiving, following, and walking in that way is the way home for the soul. And we're going to look at a couple of scriptures today as we look at the exchange at the cross. So I've got my handy dandy Bible, the basic instructions before leaving Earth, my most helpful tool, my roadmap, the greatest story ever told, the one that you and I are living inside of right now, whether we realize it or not. And we're going to turn to Isaiah chapter 53, and we're going to look at verses 4 and 6. And in those verses it says, "Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we, like sheep, have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all." Okay, so those are pretty deep words. And this is a pretty powerful story. And if you notice where I'm at, I'm about halfway through the book. But the New Testament doesn't begin until here. Okay? So I'm here, and I would keep going to get here before we actually even hear of a man named Jesus. So this man who came and lived on earth and bore all of our sins was actually prophesied about. This is the book of Isaiah. This is written down by the Hebrews, the Jewish people, who spoke about this exchange. And it is a promise that was fulfilled in an exchange at the cross. So it's pointing towards this, hundreds of years into the future. And what it declares is that we are healed. And to me, that's the most valuable lesson to pull out of this, is to remember that it's a hard and a heavy word. He was bruised for our iniquities, but it is by his stripes we are healed. We are healed. We are healed. And that's where I place my focus, is that we are healed. Anger is a fear response to life. Denial is a blocking of the abundance that God has provided for all of his children. But God always knew that this was coming. God always knew that his son was going to be sent down to earth, even at the time that he made a covenant with Abraham, which is way back here in the very beginning. He knew that his son was going to come down and take on the sins of all the nations, and that through him we would be healed. And then we're going to flip over to Romans. So let's go find Romans chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 8 through 10. And this is now the New Testament. This is Paul's words after Jesus came and walked to the earth. It says, "But God commendeth his love towards us, in that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. For if, when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God by the death of his son, so much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life." Okay, I'm feeling the full fire of the Spirit through my body right now. We were saved while we did not deserve it. That's the whole point. And that's what Isaiah 53 points to. That's what Romans 5 says. We didn't deserve it. There was nothing we could do to earn being saved. Every single one of us, as it says it said that, right? Every single one of the sheep was led astray. Every human on the planet has sinned. And sin is not an action to be punished. It's a perception to be corrected. It was a perception that we were separated from God. And now we get the opportunity to be reconciled by his death. And before we even received that reconciliation, he did it. And that's covenantal love. That is covenant love from our Father. That is, I'm giving you this gift of my Son, and you don't even have to receive it. And yet how much more than being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. There is no more wrath. There is no more wrath. There is only obedience. And that's what Jesus was. He was an obedient son who followed his Father, who followed his directions, and he made a way home. So if you're listening to this, I just pray for an opportunity to open up in your world, for you to receive the love of an unconditionally loving Father, for you to meditate upon that exchange at the cross and find out what redemption means in your own heart.